Welcome back to News Nexus, where we bring you deep dives into the stories shaping our world. I'm Daisy, your host, and today we're exploring the fascinating world of international trade. Think of it as a trust fall, where nations lean on each other, hoping not to hit the ground. But what happens when trust falters? Let's unpack how nations build or break economic alliances in this global trust exercise. International trade isn't just about goods crossing borders. It's a symphony of diplomacy, economics, and geopolitics. And at the heart of it lies one key element: trust. This trust is built over years, sometimes decades, through treaties, agreements, and institutions like the World Trade Organization. These frameworks are designed to ensure fairness, transparency, and predictability. But as we've seen time and again, trust can be fragile. It only takes one misstep, like a sudden tariff or an export ban, to send the whole structure teetering. Take the U.S. China trade war, for example. It's a classic case of trust breaking down. Tariffs were imposed, supply chains were disrupted, and the ripple effects were felt across the globe. Another example is the COVID-19 pandemic. Remember when countries were hoarding medical supplies and vaccines? It exposed just how thin the veneer of international cooperation can be when the chips are down. But let's flip the coin. How do nations actually build these alliances in the first place? It starts with shared interests. Nations with complementary economies or strategic goals tend to come together more easily. Look at the European Union. By eliminating internal tariffs and harmonizing regulations, the EU has created a single market that's resilient and powerful. It's a shining example of what's possible when nations pool resources and trust each other. And it's not just Europe. Agreements like the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership and the African Continental Free Trade Area show how regions can unite for mutual economic benefit. These alliances are often strengthened by mechanisms for resolving disputes. Because let's face it, predictability and accountability are the building blocks of trust. But what about when trust breaks down? History is full of examples where alliances have unraveled. Brexit, for instance, is a textbook case. The UK decided to leave the EU, driven by skepticism about the benefits of integration. The result? A messy divorce that disrupted trade flows and strained relationships. Or consider the Russia-Ukraine conflict. It's not just a geopolitical crisis, it's also a trade crisis. European nations, heavily reliant on Russian energy, had to rethink their entire energy strategy. Meanwhile, Russia turned to Asia for new trade partners. It's a stark reminder of how quickly alliances can shift when trust is shattered. Technology plays an interesting dual role here. On one hand, innovations like blockchain can enhance transparency and trust in supply chains. Imagine being able to trace every step of a product's journey with complete confidence. On the other hand, technology can also deepen divides. The U.S. China rivalry in areas like semiconductors and artificial intelligence has led to export controls and blacklists. These actions not only disrupt trade, but also erode trust, as nations prioritize strategic dominance over collaboration. So how do we rebuild trust when it's broken? It's not easy, but it's possible. Transparency is key. Clear communication of trade policies can go a long way in reducing uncertainty. Fairness is another cornerstone. Agreements need to be equitable so that no party feels shortchanged. Resilience is crucial too. Diversifying supply chains and building redundancy can make partnerships more stable. And finally, multilateral engagement. Revitalizing institutions like the WTO and fostering dialogue through global summits can help mend fractured relationships. As we look to the future, the challenges are only going to get more complex. The rise of populism, the urgent need to address climate change, and the breakneck pace of technological innovation are reshaping the landscape of global trade. But here's the thing. The potential for collaboration remains immense. Nations that prioritize trust, transparency, and mutual benefit will be better positioned to navigate these challenges. So, what's the takeaway? Global trade is a trust fall. It's about nations catching each other, even when the stakes are high and the fall seems daunting. The question is, will they? Or will fear and self-interest lead them to step away? That's a story still being written. And we'll be here at News Nexus to bring you every twist and turn. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this deep dive insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on the future of global trade. Until next time, I'm Daisy, and this is News Nexus.